Okay, so let's dive right in. When you think of old homes, you probably picture charm, character, a bit of history, right? But what if those walls could talk? What if they told stories of unseen dangers, of progress that came with a truly deadly price? Today, we're peeling back the wallpaper on the Victorian and Edwardian home to uncover the killers that were hiding in plain sight.
And this quote, it just perfectly sums up this crazy paradox we're exploring. The home was supposed to be a safe haven, right? A retreat from the dirt and disease of the industrial city. But secretly, it was becoming one of the most hazardous places you could possibly be.
So how did that happen? How does a sanctuary become a death trap? Well, you have to remember the Industrial Revolution was flooding homes with all these new products, all promising convenience and a better life. The catch? There were absolutely no safety regulations. So these incredible innovations, they often became hidden assassins.
And let's start in the kitchen, the heart of the home, because that's where the threats were the most immediate. The massive, rapid growth of cities created this huge, impersonal food chain, one where profit, unfortunately, often came way before people's health.
This led to something called food adulteration, and it was just everywhere. See, as cities grew, you no longer knew the person who grew your food or baked your bread. And that anonymity, it allowed some pretty shady merchants to bulk up their products with some truly astounding and sometimes toxic fillers to make an extra buck.
Take the Victorian loaf of bread. What's really fascinating here is the why. Victorians were desperate for pure white bread. It was a status symbol, a way to show off. So to get that look, bakers would use chemicals like alum, which you'd normally find in detergents. And to make the loaves feel heavier, more substantial, they'd add chalk or even plaster of Paris. Yeah, this all led to things like chronic malnutrition and gastritis.
So bread could be a slow killer. But another kitchen staple posed a much more direct threat, and I mean direct, especially to the youngest and most vulnerable in the house.
Get this, 5 grams. Just 5 grams of borax. According to the experts back then, that was enough to kill a small child. And yet, homemakers were adding it to milk, following the advice of domestic goddesses like the famous Mrs. Beeton. And why would they do that? Simple. To mask the sour taste of spoiled milk and make it seem fresh for longer.
But here is the absolutely crucial, deadly detail. The borax didn't kill the bacteria. Nope, it just hid the taste. In fact, it let deadly bacteria like bovine tuberculosis grow and thrive, totally undetected, in milk that seemed perfectly fine to drink. It's estimated that 500,000 children died from TB they got from spoiled milk that their parents thought was, quote, purified.
Wow, and the danger wasn't just in what they ate. Outside the kitchen, the very materials and technologies that were supposed to be signs of progress, well, they brought their own brand of terror. Turns out, progress came with a seriously scary price tag.
Early electricity must have seemed like pure magic, clean, invisible energy, but it was totally unregulated. Homes didn't have fuse boxes, and the wires were often insulated with flammable stuff like paper or cloth. The only power source was usually a single light socket, so people would plug in adapter after adapter for their new irons and heaters, creating what they actually called a Christmas tree of plugs. You can guess what happened next.
And this same trade-off, this promise versus peril, was true for all these new wonder materials. Take celluloid, the first plastic. It made luxury goods like ivory hair combs affordable for the middle class. The problem? It was chemically almost identical to gun cotton, which made it super flammable. There are stories of celluloid billiard balls literally exploding on impact. And then, of course, there was asbestos, the miracle mineral for insulation. Its dark secret? Those invisible carcinogenate fibers that caused fatal lung diseases decades down the road.
This quest for progress wasn't just about convenience. It was also about appearance. And as we move into the Edwardian era, makeup started to become more acceptable for respectable women. But the pursuit of beauty? It could be absolutely lethal.
Makeup was this new, exciting industry, but it was completely untested. So an Edwardian woman's daily routine might involve applying a literal cocktail of poisons. We're talking lead in her face powder for that fashionable pale look, mercury for rouge, belladonna eye drops for those alluring dilated pupils, and even wafers that had arsenic in them to treat pimples.
And the danger wasn't just chemical. Oh no, she was a walking fire hazard. Her dresses were made of highly flammable fabrics. Her hair was styled up into this big, elaborate do, and it was all held in place with combs made of, you guessed it, explosive celluloid. A woman just passing a little too close to a gas lamp or an open fire could be instantly engulfed in flames.
So from poison on the plate to explosive hair accessories, it seems like the drive for convenience, for beauty, for progress, it has always come with some kind of hidden cost. And looking back at all these dangers, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I mean, sure, we've replaced lead powder with modern cosmetics and celluloid with safer plastics, but we are constantly welcoming new materials, new technologies, new chemicals into our homes right now. So the question is, what are we using today that we believe is perfectly safe, but that future generations might look back on with the same kind of horror we feel when we look at the hidden killers of the past?